On this episode of Cigars and Sea Stories, Mike and Bennett are talking about motorcycling. Motorcycling, you heard me say it right. Motorcycling across the countryside. I'm a Harley rider. I ride a Harley-Davidson Softail Blackline. It's a 2012 model. I saw it in a magazine when I was in Afghanistan and dreamed about it the entire fucking time I was overseas. Got home, sat on it, did not test ride it at all. Just said, I want that bike. Boom. Let's make that happen. And then away I went. Boom, boom. Yeah, that's 6th gear. 103 cubic inches. Yes, just rumbling between the legs. Sometimes you forget the old ladies on the back, and then you square up with like a Lambo. You're like, yeah, this is happening. This is in SoCal. Just taking the fuck off. Just wham, just nailing it. She's screaming, pounding on the back of your helmet. Slow the fuck down. Like, yeah. Went blurry there for a second. Sorry, baby. Faster and faster until the thrill of speed outweighs the fear of death. Yeah. Anyway, you got a bike?
I don't right now, but I used to. But it was a fucking crotch rocket.
Yeah, that's what I started with. But I knew I was going to kill myself.
It was a 1993 CBR 900.
It's a nice bike.
It was fast as shit. I know that.
Right.
And that's part of the reason I fucking ended up getting rid of it, because I basically almost killed myself. So.
What year was this that you had the bike? 93
into 94.
So it was a new motorcycle at the time.
Oh, yeah. I bought it brand new.
You were just like, yep, I'll take that right off the show.
I'll take that one right off. Yes. And it was, it was fucking scary. I think at the time it was like the 3rd fastest production bike made or something like that. Something stupid like that.
Oh, yeah.
And it was asinine. So, we all had to roll down to Myrtle Beach and do that fucking thing. So it was rolling down to Myrtle on the bike and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, almost killed myself.
Yes. See, my first bike was a Gixxer 600. It was an 04.
A GSXR.
GSXR.
Yeah, my other favorite type of bike is my buddy had one, so I'd ride it every once in a while. It was the GSXR 700 or 750. Sorry, GSXR 750.
Oh, yeah. Well, and they each have their own spot in the sun. You know what I'm saying? Like the 750 is more built for racing. It's great in the twisties.
Oh, it was wicked maneuverable. Right. My bike, not so much.
Right. No, and I get that. Your bike is crazy fast. It's up there in the 900 series, which there's Gixxer 9, right? Gixxer 900s, right?
Yeah, they make 900s, correct.
Yeah, and then you jump up to the Busa from there in the Suzukis. But, see, it's fun on a sport bike, especially in California, which I get this. It's totally illegal to split lanes when you're going faster than the given speed limit. I understand that. Yeah, we used to just dip in and out of traffic on those things and just play tag, like on a sport bike, just doing mach Jesus in between 29 Palms and San Diego, rolling through the 15. God, that's a good highway. Such a good highway. Just hauling ass. And then chill out in San Diego. Good times, man. So you went down to Myrtle? That was like your chill spot?
Yeah. Well, we were, at Lejeune. Myrtle's a 2-hour drive depending on speed.
Right.
And it was one road, basically. You would get on, and now it's even easier to get there, but back in the day, you had to drive through Wilmington. Now you can bypass it and, scream along at fucking who knows how fucking fast.
Right.
But yeah, it was no joke, bro. And, when you were down there on a bike, the chicks were just like fucking, you're not gonna ride. And you don't have to wear your helmet. You can cruise the strip, yada, 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 the whole thing. Problem is looking back now, it was the times. So that's when everyone wanted the street bike, the freaking crotch rocket, the whatever.
For sure.
But way, when you get older, you want a Harley. Or now, I should say, there's been a transfer. There's been a changeover where there is still obviously those people that like the crotch rockets, but you find the Harley chopper roadster bikes more popular than they were.
Yeah.
To the masses, I should say. Because they were always popular to some subculture, but now, especially in the military, they're way more popular. It used to be almost exclusively street bikes, and now I see a lot of counter, mainly people are like going overseas. Well, part of it is I think Harley did a really good job of marketing directly to the military, giving them discounts and also being able to buy your bike overseas.
Oh, for sure.
While you're there. So it's like that car and bike service that they have with MWR, right?
Right. And
so,
I know a couple of guys who have done that where they basically paid for it while they were on deployment and bought it off.
Yeah. It literally, well, my buddy Dan Brown, who runs Homefront Fishing.
Yeah.
He bought his bike when he was in, I think it was Afghanistan. And when he got back, he took delivery 3 or 4 months after he got back. And it was done, He just went and picked it up at the Harley dealership up by Watertown, New York. I think it's called Iron Horse, something like that.
Harley-Davidson is the only brand or the only vehicle that I own where I have bought off the showroom floor, and I've done it twice. I wouldn't do that with a car. You know what I mean? Like typically,
I know what you mean.
Like our Kia that I've got, the Sorrento, that's got a V6 and a tow package and third row seating and upholstery because my kids will beat the shit out of it. And then I've got my little sedan that I can use as a kid mobile also, but I can drive somebody to lunch without looking like a schmuck, right? You know what I mean? And then I have my pride and joy, Matilda, where it's like, yeah, I bought her brand new. Every mile that's on her is mine, and I own her, meaning that it's paid off. And that was, my evolution went sport bike on that Gixxer, sold it when I left 29 Palms. And then at Quantico, I got a Yamaha 750 Virago. It was like a 94 Virago. Just this little bike that it basically looked like the Japanese version of Chips when I first got this motorcycle. And then I bobbed this and hacked that, and everything was matte green, and I put a nice saddle on it, like a solo little bobber out of it. And it was kind of one of those things like test your skills. You fuck this up, all right, whatever. And it left me stranded on the side of the road a couple of times. I had to finagle some mechanics, and you'd walk out and there would be a leak and you're like, shit. Right. But I got to learning, and then I sold that bike to a buddy and wound up going in and buying that Iron 883 that I had, which was awesome. But I looked like a monkey fucking a football on that thing because I'm 6'2" on a Sportster. So
tell your fucking SOI story, which I know you've told it, but tell it again.
Fuck. That was the first motorcycle that I purchased myself. So I'd ridden motorcycles before then. But now it was like time to get a bike. And when you're in SOI, you can't have a POV, a personally owned vehicle. You can't have your own car or anything else like that. And so on a payday weekend, I decided to go and buy a fucking motorcycle. And it was so stupid. So it had a base sticker already on it. And 18-year-old Mike thought that it would be a great idea to just, I had all the regulation stuff on. I wasn't crashing or doing anything weird. But it was so fucking, not only against the rules, it was against the fucking law. And I wound up taking it on base and parking it over at LAR's school. Kind of like in the parking lot, just amongst all of the other crotch rockets over there. Tucked it in. And I remember...
So fun.
Oh, such a shitbag. And so I tucked all of my stuff into my helmet and I shoved that into my day pack and snuck it into the barracks and into the squad bay and got my pack. God, it was so stupid. Put my day pack in there, hid my helmet. It worked, man. I hid my helmet. And I was good, or so I thought, I would pull the bike out and ride every once in a while and stuff like that on the weekends. I would go on Liberty and I would just take my motorcycle out into town. And, oh man, one day I got caught by my instructor. And he was a sergeant at the time. I think he's a gunnery sergeant or a master sergeant now. And he's like, you want paperwork or pain? And I'm like, what do you mean? I don't understand what you're talking about, sorry, kind of deal. And he's like, boom, is this your motorcycle? Fuck. Do you have a motorcycle kind of a deal? And shows me a picture. And I'm like, oh, shit. And so, oh man, boots on the desk, dog tags strategically placed in between breastplate and Kevlar. And, you just put your chest on your Kevlar, put your boots up on the desk, and then remain in the parade rest position for eternity. What feels like eternity. I chose pain over paperwork, and I kept my fucking motorcycle. And so he was like, just make sure you do everything right. I'll show you the process, all of this other stuff. And he walked me through how to do it the correct way. And I made damn sure never to make that dumb ass of a mistake ever again. And, from there on out, I got my stuff that I was supposed to get, and and it sucked too, because when I went to Quantico, I had to take their test. Virginia licensing, I had to go through the entire course. I had to do everything over there. God, that fucking sucked, because it's like a day of classes, and then you're riding around on their little motorcycles. And I didn't have a bike at the time. This was after I sold my first bike and before I bought the Virago. And all that I wanted was a motorcycle license, and it wouldn't carry over from California. And so Virginia was cool with it. They wouldn't let me ride on base unless I did their motorcycle safety class. That's basically what it was. And anyway, I failed the course on the first go around. And it was like, I didn't stop in time past these cones, or I didn't speed up through a turn or something. I was really fucking pissed. I was really pissed off. And then eventually went through and, got my license in the course and everything else like that. But it was one of those moments where, and I think we all go through this also in our transition as well, here to like the civilian world. You're like, God damn it, I've already been certified in all of this stuff before. Why am I going back through your crazy ass certification course just to meet your own standard? And that happens. Oh my God, that's just our lives when we get out of the military. You're not starting from scratch. I mean, it feels like you are, because you're going through all of these other civilian criteria. My heart goes out. I got to tell you, this comes out of my experience in talking to other corpsmen, right? Like not my corpsmen, but other corpsmen that are in the area and trying to get their different medical degrees, whatever it winds up being. Because they know more and have done more than any civilian nurse could possibly think of. Like, you could work in the ER for 4 decades and you will never, ever, ever treat a gunshot or a IED victim in the middle of a fucking cornfield. That's just, the experiences are too different. So anyway, it kind of felt like that, like, oh great, I'm retreading through old ground all over again, but it was a good refresher, and it was another slap in the dick. I think it was karma. It was like, yeah, no, we're going to make you wait a little while longer because you did that stupid shit when you were a kid. Anyway, yes.
Right.
Dude, and the motorcycle safety stuff that they have now, I mean, we don't have to wear orange jackets. I say we. I don't ride on base anymore. But as I was getting out, I didn't need to ride my orange jacket on base. Really the only thing was you needed to wear trousers and closed-toed shoes. You needed to have some sort of protective wear on. But Christ, man, I would ride around in camis with my helmet on and then gloves, and I was good, And before, it was like you had to have a leather jacket with elbow padding, full sleeve, gloves, an orange jacket, or some sort of safety vest or whatever. I mean, it was just fucking crazy, I mean, you had to wear more gear than when you were stepping outside the wire. It's like, dear God, man. So, but there are a lot of people who just willy-nilly, go out and fuck around on motorcycles, which obviously is stupid. It's not like a wave runner. Like, there are some people who treat motorcycles like they're a wave runner or like a jet ski. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Dude, they treat them like they're dirt bikes. Like, you can't ride a Harley wherever you go like it's a fucking dirt bike. You know what I mean? And there are some people who are like that. Yeah. Anyway, dude, that's my favorite thing to do. When people are like, well, what do you do with your off time if you have any? If you're going to plan like a Mike trip or something, I'm on my motorcycle. There's no watch. My cell phone is somewhere tucked away on airplane mode in case something happens on the road. I'm not stupid. I'm not going to leave my cell phone at home, but I do put it on airplane mode so that I'm not wasting any battery. And then if somebody else is in an accident or something happens while I'm out on the road, I can call 911, right?
Right.
But I do whatever, like, all that I do is I put on my odometer, because I've got one of those digital displays where you can see your tripometer and your gear and your tack and all of these other different things. They keep it classy. It's all simple on there, but then you've got different digital output. And so I just put on my odometer so that all I can see is some miles as they start going by. When I just ride, it's awesome. It's good. I love it.
So what the incident that caused me to get rid of my bike is one I was in Connecticut driving way too fucking fast, really, really early in the morning, but just doing it because I'm like, let me see what this bitch really does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was well over 100 miles an hour. And I basically almost fucking crashed. So I remember slowing way down, pulling over after the incident where like my handlebars wobbled, and dude, I'm like, my life flashed before my eyes.
Right.
I pulled over to the side of the road. I got off the bike, like took some deep breaths, relaxed for a while. I'm like, I don't want to get back on this fucking thing. And I finally did. I drove it back to my aunt's house, my aunt and my mom, where they lived. Loaded that fucker back up in the back of my truck. Well, not right away, but when I left to come back to North Carolina, I loaded it in the back of my truck, drove it right to a place and sold that bitch, basically.
That was it.
And that was it. And you know what? I've never ridden. Now I've ridden on, but I've never drove. I've never actually drove a motorcycle since then.
Really?
Yeah, I've ridden on one. And it's not a fear thing, really.
Right.
It's just I don't need that in my life anymore. I'm good. But there's something that, there's always a little bit of like a calling, but I'm like, why? It's not like I have the money to buy a motorcycle. So I was like, why? Fuck it. It's, it's just something else.
Right. Well, then I hear you. I mean, you're talking about a different experience than my routine, which is puttering around down on my Harley. And I can grip and rip on that thing. Don't get me wrong. But like speed wobbles on the back of a sport bike are a little bit different than when the rear end gets a little squirrely on a Harley. You know what I mean? And maybe you don't. Like I've had the rear.
Yeah. I mean, and I'd see that. And then the last time I was actually on a motorcycle, I almost got thrown off the back because I wasn't ready for them to freaking go. And there wasn't any like back seat. There's a back seat, but
right.
You just need to hold on to the dude driving the motorcycle. You just do.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Yeah, it's just because you have your own motorcycle. It's because you have your own motorcycle, faggot. Anyway, either way, yeah. I'm like, this is so not what I want to do with my life.
Yeah, no. I don't want to ride bitch the rest of my life either. I don't expect that you would want to. I'm not going to give you a ride on Matilda. I'm just not. It's based on just straight principle alone. You need to know that. It's because I love you. It's because I love you, and that's why I'm not going to have you ride bitch on my motorcycle, okay? I love you.
I'm down with that. Thanks.
I'm an asshole. Dude, you know this, because I rode down to Myrtle Beach. First of all, I love the shit out of my motorcycle. Just absolutely do. But like, when I get out on the road, and I'm just kind of like jamming and going through, it's like this weird, unique. I mean, cyclists feel it when they're in the twisties. Sport bikes, the sport bike guys feel it because they're leaned over. But it's different on a Harley or on a cruiser. I say Harley because I'm partial. But when you get going through it, the rear end almost feels like you would be on a jet ski, like you would be able to throw up a rooster tail or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So the front end, for the most part, is relatively stable. And you can tap that front brake, which is like 70% of your stopping power. But you get going on that mud trucker, and that rear end just kind of swings along with you as you're going through the twisties. And I put on those mini floorboards. Like, I have the pegs, and I like those. But when you're cruising for a long time, you need to be in more positions and comfortable positions. So I put on mini floorboards, right? And they go on just like pegs. But those, dude, the curve feelers that are on the sides of the pegs, I always snap those things off. Within the first time taking the bike out, they would snap right off. And if you look on the underside of my mini boards, you can see where they scrape against, when I'm leaning heavy into the turns and stuff like that. That's the only thing that kind of, you're like, oh, all right, whoa. It kind of, startles you for a second. Like my foot physically, and every once in a while I'll drag my foot on the ground just to test the road conditions, just to see if there's oil or water or whatever, if I'm unsure. But it's kind of shocking when you cut into a corner and boom, that happens. And then maybe you tap the brake and before you know it, the bike is straight up and you've got to gun it to get out of that situation. Or a lot of people who want to go through twisties, who want to, ride fast through the corners, they don't realize that you can speed up through a turn. Like, that's the whole point. Allow centrifugal force to take you through the turn and gun that throttle so that you're faster coming out of it than before you went into it. And that's the idea of racing, right? And man, I love that shit. You know what? I'm going to go for a ride. Fuck this. Let's end the episode. Come on, hurry up.
I'm ready.
Man. Yeah, if you guys out there ride and you'd like to get in touch with us, maybe you're in the area, you know, some poker runs that are going on, some other, you know, maybe veteran motorcycle events. I like going up and doing Rolling Thunder. You know, and it's cool too, because I enjoy talking shop with everybody. You know, Cigars and Sea Stories, 5-paragraph, the voice acting gig with Discharge, and some of these other things that like I've been working on, you know, and we're all tattooed bikers. It's good times. It's good times. I like it. It's a contrarian lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
New nickname for Bennett, Speed Wobble.
Speed Wobble. Fuck that, bro.
It's all one word, Speed Wobble.
Shit my fucking
That's what I'm
pants.
gonna call you.
That's what that is.
Speed Wobble. That's what I'll call you.
It is called shitting your pants.
So, do you have a factoid for these fun folks?
Well, I was looking at the origins of motorcycles, and it looks like the person that really made the first motorcycle, I don't know how to say their first name, Gottlieb Daimler. So I'm assuming from like Daimler Chrysler, that whole thing took the invention further by developing an engine that ran on benzene. Fucking benzene, since benzene could carry a vehicle approximately 25 miles on 1 gallon. So there was a gas burning internal combustion 4-stroke engine for a motorcycle, but I guess it didn't work very well. But so Daimler then abandoned the motorcycle business to concentrate on automobiles. So Daimler Benz, maker of the luxury Mercedes-Benz automobile.
I'll be damned.
Isn't that crazy? So pretty cool, man.
The rest
and then,
history.
Harley and Davidson, you know, and then obviously, you know, William Harley and Arthur Davidson, who, you know, that's American muscle right there, my friend.
Well, yeah. And I mean, we'll see. We've got to look up and see if we can take their images. But the thing that I'm astounded by is always the origin story. And Harley-Davidson was founded in just a little wooden workshop, you know, a little bicycle workshop where they were attaching motors to bicycles. And Bob's your uncle. And it's
in
going
Milwaukee,
through its ebbs and flows.
Fucking Milwaukee.
Yeah.
In 1903. So pretty cool.
Yep. Pretty amazing. Well, there you go, folks. That's why you listen to the end for the factoids. Gotta love it. If you're a motorcycle enthusiast, we welcome your comments. Maybe share your motorcycling adventures here with us on the show. And we'd be happy to have on our fellow veteran riders to share their own tales of the road. Maybe you guys have a veteran bike event that's coming up or something like that you want to talk about. By all means, I wanted to get it out there that I am a big fan of the motorcycles and consider myself a biker. So I would love to ride with you guys and gals who are out there on 2 wheels. So stay up on those 2 wheels as often as possible. Safe riding. And thank you so much to our sponsors, Heroes Media Group, Spartan Media, and VeteransList.us. Heroes Media Group, our network, we are proud to be a part of. They're doing great things over there. Check them out. They have a whole host of shows. It's amazing. Spartan Media helps out with the web development. They have their own niche. They're out of Tampa. They do a variety of things with construction especially. So if you're a veteran who's in construction, you need a website that's done properly, positioned, marketed, check out Spartan Media. VeteransList.us. Will Amos, Rick Yost, we've had them on the show. Check out their podcast interviews. You can go to cigarsandseastories.com/podcast, and we have a search bar that's at the top of all of our pages, excluding our landing pages, of course. So that you can scroll through and check out any one of our given podcast series throughout the years. We're coming up on 2 years here pretty soon, and over 200 episodes, which is just amazing. And we have so much more in store. It's insane. So we're going through evolutions every day. More folks are coming out of the woodwork, and we do appreciate it. You know, for those of you who listen through to the end, be sure to check out 5paragraph.com. And if you are so inclined, We're working on our team presence, cigarsandseastories.com. You can check out our team pages. I myself, michaeljpenny.com, have got a little landing page stood up. So if you have any suggestions or any interviews or you'd like to get together for any reason, by all means, reach out. I'd be happy to get in touch with you. So, yep. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Cigars and Sea Stories. Bennett, have you got a famous grunt or any last words?
No.
Pow! And on that note, we cue the music.